Hello and welcome to this Photoshop tutorial, where we will explore creating an animated video effect for the absolute beginner. Hi, I'm Ehsan. I will be guiding you through this tutorial. If you have any questions, please leave a comment, and I will do my best to answer all your questions. And if you find this tutorial useful and want to see more, please like and subscribe to help the channel grow, so we can bring you more useful tutorials. Okay, let's get started. In this tutorial, we will combine a couple of images to create an animated video effect. The first image contains a train seating image, and the second image contains a wide field image. I will show you how we can make a video of the train moving through the field. The first thing I need to do is cut out the windows so we can see the field through them. To do this, I will use the magnetic lasso tool because it is fast and it's not necessary to be very precise, as the windows are at the far end of the image. I will click the lock icon to unlock the layer. Three things you need to know when working with the lasso tool, and these are: 1. Press backspace or delete to remove the last anchor point, and again to remove the previous one. 2. Hold Shift and click to create a rectangle by making 4 anchor points around an area you want to add to the selection. 3. Hold Alt or Option and click to create a rectangle by making 4 anchor points around an area you want to remove from the selection. Once you create a selection, right-click inside the selection and choose Layer via Cut. This will cut out the selection and place it on its own layer. After all windows are cut out, I will highlight all 3 layers and group them inside a folder by clicking the folder icon at the bottom of the Layers panel. This will keep the layers organized, as well as allow me to apply actions to all layers simultaneously. In this case, I would want to reduce the opacity of all windows, so I can see the field through them while maintaining the fact that the windows are still there. Next, I will click and hold the second image, then drag and drop it onto the first image document. This will copy the second image and add it to the first image document. I will use the Move tool. Make sure the Show Transforms control box is checked, so I can adjust the image to fit just inside the windows. Reducing the image layer opacity allows me to see what I'm doing. Then I can restore the opacity to 100% again after I'm done placing the second image in the correct position. Next, I will drag the second image layer and place it at the bottom, so it will be behind the train image. The first image layer must be unlocked because it is the main background. Now, I will click the window menu and select Timeline. This will place the Video Timeline panel below the canvas. Click Create Video Timeline, and this will open all layers in the video timeline. You can click and drag the canvas upwards so you can see all the layers in the timeline. The bar above the layers in the timeline has 2 controls that you can slide left and right to set the start and finish points of the video. Click on each layer, either in the Layers panel or on the timeline, to see the corresponding layer in either panel. This layer contains the image of the field, which I need to animate. Clicking the arrow next to each layer on the timeline opens the layer options. You can see a stopwatch icon next to each option. This will add or remove a keyframe at the current playhead position. This is the playhead, and hovering on it will display the current timeline position in hours, minutes, and seconds. First, I need to place a keyframe on the field layer, at the start position. Then move the playhead to the end of the timeline, and use the left keyboard arrow to move the field image all the way to the right edge of the train image. Press Ctrl or Command ± to reduce the image display while moving the back image to speed up the process. Then press Ctrl or Command +0 to reset the display. This will tell the timeline that when the playhead reaches the end of the timeline, the field image right edge should line up with the train image right edge. So, we place a keyframe at the beginning of the timeline, where the playhead is lined up with the left edge of both images, and move the playhead to the end of the timeline, where it is lined up with the right edge of both images. Now, if we press the play button, we can see the playhead moving from the start to the end of the timeline. And at the same time, the field image is moving leftwards until it reaches the right edge of the train image. The play settings have two options. Video resolution. The higher it is, the slower the playback will be, and the lower it is, the faster the video playback will be, depending on your computer processor, graphics card, and available memory. In some high-end computers, you will not notice any difference. And the second option is a checkbox to loop the video continuously. I will keep the resolution at 50% and check the loop box to have a faster playback and keep the video looping. The problem with the loop is, the video jumps every time it restarts, which is not good for our purposes. I will go back to the second image and try to fix this problem. First, I will double the canvas width by going to Image and selecting Canvas Size. Uncheck the relative box, because this would double both the width and height of the image. I will move the image to the left edge and copy the layer. Then click and drag the left edge of the copy while holding the Shift key to the right edge, which will inverse the copy. Now, I can hold Shift and click to select both layers. Right-click and merge the layers, which will give me one image, which is twice as wide as the original, but looks like a continuous image. I will repeat these steps again, so I can have an image 4 times as wide as the original, which should give me room to play with on the timeline. I will repeat the previous steps to add this 4 times as wide field image to the train document. And also, delete the first field layer from the Layers panel. I will press Ctrl or Command ± to reduce the image display while adjusting and moving the back image to speed up the process. Then press Ctrl or Command +0 to reset the display. Next, I will drag the train and field timeline bars to make the timeline longer. And move the playhead to the end position, then use the keyboard left arrow to line up the field and train images right edges. While the playhead is at the end position, I will drag the keyframe to move it to the end of the timeline. When I play the video, it still jumps when it loops. But I now have a longer timeline. So by looking at the start position, where the field is, I can go to the end of the timeline, and drag the end control to the point where the video starts. You may have to have a few tries before you can get this right. But when you do, the video will loop seamlessly, and it would look really good. In this case, you'd feel like the train is really moving through these fields. All is good now, but a little issue still exists. And that is the length of the windows on the timeline. And because they are inside a folder, I can't increase the length of the folder on the timeline. But I can duplicate the folder in the Layers panel. This will create a duplicate track, which I can move to make it start after the first folder ends on the timeline. This looks pretty good, considering we made it from only 2 still images. The final step is to export this as a video. Go to the File menu and click Export. Then scroll down to Render Video. Choose the settings that suit you best. I will make a 1080p HD video. Choose where to save it, and change the name if you like. Photoshop will render your video, which should be under a minute, depending on how long you made the timeline. Now, let's see the video playback. I hope you found this tutorial useful. Please like, subscribe, and click the notification bell, so you can be notified when I release a new video. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to see you in the next tutorial.